It's preview season here on Armchair Analysis, and today it's all about the USC Trojans. We're going out west to LA. It's about Lincoln Riley's squad and what they could look like here in 2025. Before we get started, though, I ask that if you're new around here, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. It's all free. Let me know what you think of what we have to say here today. Make sure you go check out the playlist. We've got a whole playlist of the entirety of preview season. It started on June 1st when we started with Florida State, all the way to today, and on through until we finish up with every single team, and that will be with Ohio State by the time we are done. So I thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all enjoy the video. We start with USC and a team that went 7-6, 4-5 in Big Ten play in 2024. They averaged 30.2 points per game. It was 51st in the country. They averaged allowing 24.1 points per game, 57th in college football. Turnover margin per game, negative 0.2. That was 79th. But what they did here was impressive. Lynn, year one, was a success, and by all accounts. I mean, this was a team that did not have an identity defensively. Lynn steps up, and now, next thing we know, they cut it down under 25 points per game. I can't remember exactly what the number was in 2024, but it was a heavy improvement. They also bulked up on a defensive line, which helped them a lot, and I think really helped them in the trenches. The biggest thing that's hindered them last year was losing one-score games, and I think that kind of comes with the territory of being new to that physicality and being in those types of games. I mean, this is a USC squad that was used to air it out, high-scoring affairs in the Pac-12, and they don't have to do that anymore. That's not the way they win games here. They have played really well and done some really good things so far in at least in year one of Lynn, and again, year two, we'll kind of talk about where they can go. This is our first team that we have top 20 in both recruiting and portal rankings. This team was 13th in recruiting rankings and 18th in portal. And I actually think I misspoke. I think Florida was in the top 20 in both of them as well. But USC doing a really good job continuing to bring in players, even though they haven't kind of fallen on, I don't know, harder times, I guess. It's not been awful. They haven't been miserable, the team. But certainly have some work to do. Head coach, of course, Lincoln Riley, back once again for another year, and he's going to be calling the plays. I know Luke Heward has the moniker of offensive coordinator, but this is Lincoln Riley's offense, and we all know that. Lynn, again, I can't say it enough. Back for year two. How do they improve? Where do they go? We'll talk a little bit about it. Let's start with this offense, though. It returns 4 starters, and I'm going to say they return 5 starters because Jaden Myalba got some starts last year and was the starter by the time the season ended. He was certainly better in this system than Miller Moss was, but I don't know how much improved he truly was. I need to see it this year. I need to see kind of from beginning to end his level of play improve and him prove that he is that guy. For right now, I'm just not fully seeing it. Now, that's not me saying he's bad either. Don't misunderstand not seeing it for saying he's going to be bad and that they're going to fail. I don't think that is true at all. At running back, they got Brian Jackson, and then New Mexico transfer Eli Sanders coming in. I think that's going to be an interesting duo in the backfield, and I personally expect Sanders to get more carries. I haven't seen enough of Brian Jackson to truly know for sure, but I think either way, that this is a running back room with some questions. I think it's certainly fair to say, but I'm not going to go out and say that they're going to be bad either. I'm not going to say that. I really like this wide receiver room. They got Jacoby Lane, of course, coming back, a returning starter. Makai Lemon is expected to be a star, All-American caliber player at wide receiver. So I'm excited to see what he is able to do. And then Prince Strachan coming over from Boise State, going to be stepping in and seeing again what he can do as well. I think this wide receiver room is going to be good. I don't think we have really any reason to question a Lincoln Riley wide receiver room. So until I see otherwise, I got high hopes for these 3. Lake McRee is going to be the returning starter at tight end. We'll see how he's implemented in the offense, but tight ends don't typically get used in the Lincoln Riley system. So that's kind of to be determined. This team does return 3 of 5 players on the offensive line from 2024. They have 2 transfers coming in projected to start. And then their left tackle and left guard are returning starters. And those names being Elijah Page and Alani Noah, those guys are expected to be kind of the leaders of this offensive line that certainly needs a little bit of improvement from last year. This is a team that degraded in the offensive line, pass blocking of 55.9, which was 60th out of 68 Power 4 teams. Their run block graded at a 59.9, which was 46th out of 68. They were still below the halfway portion of the Power 4. Improvement is certainly needed on the offense, I think, to continue what they did. But the Lincoln Riley offense, I think 30 points per game is kind of standard. So maybe they fall a couple points short of that. Maybe they go over that. Maybe I'm underrating this offense a little bit. That's certainly possible. I like Jaden Maiava, and I really have some high hopes for what he can do and what he can be in this offense. I just have to. I don't like to overreact to like expectations. You know, if I set high expectations for somebody and then they fail, it's on me because I set those expectations up there. If I set them low and they exceed those expectations, I prefer to be miss low, than I prefer to miss high. And so with this one, I'm shooting low, but with the thought in mind that this is going to go better than I expect. This defense returns 2 starters from last year. That's Anthony Lucas and Kamari Ramsey. And Kamari Ramsey is a guy who I think is going to be a big deal. He's a returning leading tackler with 60, had 2 forced fumbles last year, was one of multiple players with 2 sacks. Eric Gentry led the team in tackles for loss with 7, and Deshaun Stevens maybe it's Desmond Stevens. Hang on. Desmond Stevens. I knew as soon as I wrote that down yesterday I was going to mess it up. He had 1 interception last year, and that leads the team. This is a team that needs to find a way to replace the production that they lost, especially in the turnover department. And I think they're going to do fine in terms of the creating havoc department. I think they're going to create more problems in the backfield, get more sacks, more tackles for loss, create more negative plays overall for opposing offenses. Some notable transfers, though, they bring in Keyshawn Silver from Kentucky. I think he's going to be a really big addition to that defensive line. DJ Harvey going to be a huge addition to the secondary, one of the best cornerbacks last year in college football at San Jose State. He joins this team. He's going to be a big deal. Bishop Fitzgerald comes over from NC State, and then Kennedy Urlacher. Both of these guys are going to be battling for that safety position. Kennedy Urlacher, of course, son of NFL Hall of Famer, or should be Hall of Famer if not, Brian Urlacher, coming over from Notre Dame. Really, really excited to see what this team can turn into, because I think there's a lot of potential. And that's part of my thoughts here, is that we saw considerable improvement for the defense in year 1 with Danton Lynn. How much more can they improve, and which running back steps up to help this offense out? The one thing that I think hurt this team the most last year, beyond, some inconsistencies on defense, was the inability to really, it was sometimes the ability to find a run game. They had, why am I blanking right now? Bear with me on that. Jaquavius Marks, of course. I had the name, I can't remember. We had him running back last year, and he stepped up. He was a 1,000-yard rusher, 9 touchdowns on the season. Who's going to step up? Because currently, the guy on the roster with the most rushing yards from this program, at least, Bryant Jackson, 188 rushing yards last year. That's not really a proven commodity. So who's going to step up and be the guy at running back? Who's going to step up and be that 500 to 1,000-yard rusher and create a little bit more balance for this offense that I think is going to need it as the year goes on? Jaden Maiava is going to take some time to get comfortable, and I think he will at some point, and they'll be good at that point on. But it's a matter of getting that comfort level, and thankfully the schedule allows for it a little bit too. going ahead and taking a look at the schedule here, you see the non-conference is pretty light. They have Missouri State and Georgia Southern to start the season. They do play Notre Dame on the road. That'll be a tough one. And the conference slate it's got some tough games. I mean, at Illinois is going to be tough. Michigan's going to be tough. Nebraska on the road is going to be a tough one. Iowa is always kind of one you never really know what to think. And then at Oregon. And then even UCLA at the end of the year, I think by that time they'll be pretty solid too, or at least have it somewhat figured out. So how do we sit? Over under 7.5, plus 2,000 to win the Big Ten, plus 7,000 to win the national championship. Where do we land? Well, we're going to go ahead and land with 2 wins, and I'm going to put a third one up. I think they'll beat Purdue as well on the road. Ross-Ade Stadium tends to be the upset town, but I don't think it's going to happen year one for Barry Odom. But they'll start 3-0. I think this is just going to be a slow, get your feet under you start to the year. They then go on the road to face Michigan State, and I think they stay at home and face Michigan State. And I think they'll get the win there too. This will be a pretty solid 4-0 start, and I think a pretty fast start for this team. You go on the road to face Illinois, and this is going to be a closer game for certain. I mean, this is an experienced Illinois team. This is the Indiana of last year, as people are saying. I don't know how much I buy into that notion, but I certainly could see it, could agree, it can happen. I'm not putting that out there currently. And I think that USC gets the win on the road. I think that this is kind of a place where they can prove that their defense is that much improved, and they can really let their offense show what it is capable of. They get a bye week before they host Michigan. And last year, this game came down to the wire. I mean, this was as close of a game as you could have asked for. Michigan was able to get it done. This year, I think 2 things remain true. One is that Michigan will not pass for less than 50 yards like last season. I believe the exact number was 32, but I could be mistaken on that. They will not pass for less than 50 yards like last season. And they are improved on defense in terms of the way they want to play defense. Remember early in the year last year, this is where, before Wink Martindale really started to figure things out, at the end of the year, they were locking pretty much everybody they played up. With that being said, and the amount returning from last year being said for the Michigan defense, I think USC, this is going to be their first struggle point, and I think this is going to be the first real test for Jaden Maiava. And unfortunately for them, it's going to be a failure. I think Michigan's going to get the win here. You follow that up with a road trip to Notre Dame after that loss, and I think Notre Dame's just that much better. I think they are just a better team. This game being in South Bend really turns the tide there. So 2 straight losses, but you still sit at 5-2. You go on the road to face Nebraska out of a bye week after 2 straight losses, and I think you get caught off there too. I think that this Nebraska and USC team, both of these teams really kind of level out with each other the way I look at them right now. Home field advantage is kind of my tiebreaker when I look at 2 teams I think are even. So I give the win to Nebraska. They'll come back and get a win over Northwestern, though, on Friday night, November 7th. That'll be a solid bounce back to really close the season out strong. They could win 3 of 4, and they'll get another win. They'll get one over Iowa. I think that's just a team that they can outscore and play certainly better than. You go on the road to face Oregon, Autzen Stadium, the zoo, going to be crazy. I just think that this Oregon team is better at this point. Dante Moore is going to be figured out. The wide receiver room is as good as ever. And I think the defense, again, the teams that USC loses to are just going to have a better overall defense. So Oregon will get the job done there. They'll close out with a win over UCLA, 8-4, 6-3 in conference play. I think it's a really good year. I genuinely believe that 8-4 is a good year for USC. And honestly, you could probably bump that to 9-3. I see a ceiling of 9-3 and a floor of 7-5, I suppose, if they lose to Illinois. I mean, this team can meet some goals here. This team can really show some improvement, and I'm excited for it. I really am. To see where'd they go. I've been to a game out there. As a matter of fact, that's where this jersey came from. And just so you know, if you're new around here, I wear jerseys any jersey that I have for a team, I wear for the preview. Any merch that I have for a team, I wear during that preview. So I have my USC jersey, I'm going to wear it. I have a Georgia jersey, I'm going to wear that for the Georgia preview. I've got a handful that I will just wear for different previews. And I also have this deal where the national championship or the national champion, I buy their jersey. And if the team that's already won a national championship that I already have their jersey, I buy a jersey. I just spin a wheel and buy a jersey. So that's kind of the way it works. I'm still on the hook for an OSU jersey. I have a plan for that jersey specifically. It's going to mean a lot to me. So thankfully it will have the purpose I want it to have. And yeah, I'm excited for it. So I probably won't have that this year, unfortunately, for the OSU preview. But beyond that, and when I say OSU, I mean Ohio State, of course, the most recent national champion. And but once I do, it will be worn for all OSU previews. And whoever wins this year, I'll have their jersey as well. So make sure you stick around. If you enjoyed this video, again, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. If there's something I may have missed, somebody I didn't talk about in this video, let me know. That's what the comments are for. Comments, I think I just hit my mic stand. The comments are for that kind of conversation, that kind of back and forth. I have a lot of fun with it. We've also recently crossed over 100 subscribers, and that's crazy to me that actually was able to happen. And I thank y'all for that. It's been really cool to get back to this and have the amount of fun I've been having, honestly. I mean, these previews have been a blast for me, and while I've certainly got some work to do in how I present this to you, because granted, I'm not a great public speaker to begin with, and it is tough to kind of talk to yourself and figure things out. There's things I got to learn. There's things I got to go over and work on. But as I do that, hopefully these get better and more consistent, more confident, really is, I guess, the word I'd like to say. Because I know what I'm saying here. It's just a matter of having the confidence to do it, so and say it. So we're working and working on my end to improve things the same way, and I hope you y'all can see that and appreciate it. So all that said, I thank you guys for tuning in. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow, Texas A&M, we're going to College Station. We're going to take a look at Mike Elko's 2025 team, see what they're able to do, how they're able to improve. I mean, they went 8-4 last year. So how will they, or I don't think 8-4 is correct. They certainly played in a bowl game, but, yeah, they went 8-5 last year, losing to USC as a matter of fact. So we will, we'll see where we land here with, Texas A&M. I'm excited. And, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.